Wisdom stands for Women in Science domain, and in each episode of Trailblazers, we interact with eminent women scientists. Today, we have with us our guest, Dr. Shamin Padalkar from TESS Mumbai, in conversation with Dr. Neetu Jha from ICT Mumbai. Dr. Shamin is an assistant professor in the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education in Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. After completing PhD in Science Education from the Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, TIFR, Dr. Shamin worked as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of California, USA. She then worked with an NGO, Quality Education Support Trust, in 2013. She was also involved in preparing online courses for teachers working in remote areas of Maharashtra in Marathi. Dr. Shamin worked as a visiting faculty at the Department of Education and Extension, Savitribai Phule Pune University in 2013 to 14. Shamin served as a member of Science Textbook Writing Committee of the Maharashtra State Bureau of Textbook Production and Curriculum Research, Bal Bharti, and is one of the authors of Certificate Program for Teaching of Elementary School Science, a project of NCERT to prepare online courses for teachers. Dr. Shamin is working in the area of science education, material development, and science teacher professional development. So, without much delay, let's start today's interaction. Over to you, Dr. Neetu. Thanks.
Hi, Dr. Shamin. Thanks, Shweta. Welcome, Dr. Shamin, to INYAS Wisdom Podcast Series. Here we invite women achievers and they share their journey to our listeners. Dr. Shamin, tell us something about your research area.
So I work in the area of science education. So our audience may not be familiar with this field of research. So let me quickly introduce it. It is a multidisciplinary field. Researchers in this field address questions such as what should be the curriculum for school science or any other course in science? What problems do students face when they learn science? How to teach science so that students learn it well and efficiently? And how to assess their learning. So in science education, I work on three topics. First is visuospatial thinking in science education. So when we learn science, we need to visualize mental models such as model of an atom or a cell, etc. And we have to think based on it. This process is known to be difficult for students. And in my research, I tried to address this problem through use of concrete models, gestures, role plays, diagrams, and more recently using digital medium. The second topic of my interest is philosophy of science. Science is not just a compilation of facts. Students also need to learn the process of scientific inquiry, criteria which distinguish science from non-science or pseudoscience. Students should know that scientific knowledge is tentative and subject to change when new evidence comes forward. They also need to know how society and science are interrelated, how they influence each other. All these ideas are explored under philosophy of science. And the third area of my interest is teacher education. It is important to prepare science teachers so that they are aware of nature of science, they understand students' difficulties and mistakes made by them, and how to help them to overcome the difficulties or correct their mistakes. What activities or resources can be used to teach and assess certain topics, and so on. How to prepare the teachers in this respect is one of the major areas in science education research. And understanding what kind of support newly qualified teachers need once they enter the teaching profession, or what kind of continuous professional development will be best for in-service teachers, are some of the other questions in this area. So these are three areas in which I work.
Thank you, Shamin. Alongside this, any additional work is going on in your lab?
Yes. So, of course, I teach courses related to cognition and learning and science education to postgraduate students, and I also mentor students for their research dissertations and school internship. We also do a lot of developmental work In fact, my research and developmental work are intertwined. My colleagues and I developed blended modules to teach specific topics in science to high school students or to newly qualified teachers. We test it on field and make a few rounds of revisions to make it as best as we can. We also develop blended courses for science teachers in the similar manner. And we analyze the data from these trials and document the insights gained from all this process. And we also work with the different state governments and organizations to offer teacher professional development, faculty development, etc.
This looks wonderful, Shaman. This area of field is very interesting. What made you select science education?
First, my love of science. As a student, it was fun to do experiments, learn some of the most fascinating principles and explanations. Second, I was always interested in social issues and wanted to do something for the society. So, a scientifically literate society is a basis of a development of a country. It is very important. It is foundational, really. And this field allows me a direct intervention to improve the level of scientific understanding in our society. So that was another motivation. And the third is, although I was a good student throughout my school years and college years, I struggled to learn physics at the postgraduate level. And that made me sympathetic towards young learners who face difficulty in understanding science, and as a result typically get dropped out and get deprived from many opportunities. So I believe every student, irrespective of his or her caste, class, gender, or any kind of background, he or she is entitled to learn the wonders of the world and share the process of generation of knowledge. And that really motivates me to be in this field.
That's wonderful to know, Dr. Shamin. Any technologies developed so far in your lab, and can you please discuss its impact on society?
Yeah, so we have developed blended modules for high school students and blended courses for science teachers. And a large number of students from Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Mizoram, and Telangana have benefited from these modules. And also, teachers from all over India take our courses and take advantage out of them. We also facilitate teacher educators from Bhutan, Nigeria, Tanzania in development of blended modules for newly qualified teachers, and again that is also on a digital platform, and these are all being scaled up in the respective countries. So this is the kind of work we do in educational technology.
That's wonderful, Dr. Shamin. So now let's discuss something about your pillar of strength. So please introduce your research group to us.
Okay, so I work at the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, and I'm part of two research groups within it. Um, First is Science and Mathematics Research Group, and the second is Teacher Education Research Group. So in Science and Mathematics Research Group, we have research scholars, research associates, and about three or four faculty members. Yeah, four faculty members. And in teacher education, it's a really a large group, our center being mainly focusing on this area. But generally, people in these groups are working in different but related areas. So, for example, in SME research group, people work in biology education or mathematical practices in different cultures, or role of language in STEM education, and so on. And we meet periodically and exchange our work and progress.
That's good to know. Please tell us, how do you balance between your personal and professional life?
Well, that is a challenge. My work requires some amount of traveling for field visits, etc. So it was more difficult when my child was still young. Even now, it poses some amount of challenge. But my family has been very supportive throughout my career. Uh, they take interest in what I do and value it and help me in all possible ways. So I am fortunate in that sense. My husband is also a researcher, so he understands the demands on a researcher or a teaching professional. And secondly, I'm very fortunate to have good friends, and I also try to engage in some hobbies so that it keeps me hopeful and helps me to cope with the demands of the life. You can
Yeah,
say, yeah.
that's very much needed, Dr. Shamin. Please tell us if you have any specific advice for people who want to select this field.
Yes, definitely. This is a demanding field. It can exhaust us because it takes a huge amount of collective effort to bring about any positive, any small change in the system. So, people who want to venture in this field should be prepared for that. At the same time, it is a very fulfilling field. It gives immense satisfaction when I see my students adopting some of the powerful ideas which we discuss in classes, which we, as individual level, and they take them to classroom. So you see really uh, you adopting some ideas and they adopting them, and these ideas kind of growing and taking roots and being uh, manifested in various ways. So that is really nice, but you should also remember that this field is new in India, and when you are working in a new area, you have to pave your own path. And this being a interdisciplinary field, there are systemic difficulties in getting jobs and fundings, etc. But we have to remember that it is of utmost importance, so we have to find solutions, and uh, help the system to uh, adopt this field, and it should grow in our country because of its very importance to the society.
I agree with you, Dr. Shaman. It is very much required for us to grow as a society. We need more people in this field. What is your take on this? If I want to modify, especially the girls of our country, to take up this field, how should we motivate them? And on which area they should be focusing to get motivated and choose this field of science education?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have been thinking about it. So first is, as we know, participation of females in STEM fields is low, and female science educationists will not only create role models for girls, they can identify the problems of girls or women uh, faced in surviving in a male dominated fields such as STEM, and can come up with authentic solutions with their own experiences, and being more sympathetic to girls' problems. Second, is this field is for sensitive people, and Indian system, at least I can talk about it, is such that women are brought up in a way that they are empathetic and so on. So I don't mean to say that men are not sensitive, but socio-emotional development is given more importance for the girls' upbringing that for men, although it should be improved for men also, but oftentimes it is compromised on expenses of cognitive or physical development of men. But that shouldn't be the case. But at least now, girls, are in general more sensitive, more empathetic, and they show in. I mean, after interacting with students and so on, we feel that girls are many a times they show more promise in this area because their empathy towards students who are struggling to learn science. So definitely I feel that this field is very much suitable for both girls and boys, but girls definitely have a potential here.
Thank you, Dr. Shaman, for your time and showing your STEM experience. Wishing you the very best for your future, and we are proud to have you as our INYAS member. I
Thank
would
you. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for giving me opportunity to express what I feel, and making me part of this larger scientific community. It really is an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neetu, for hosting this wonderful interaction. And big thanks to our guest, Dr. Shamin, for sharing her inspiring experiences. With this, we have come to an end of this episode. I thank all our listeners for being with us today. We will virtually meet you soon again with another inspiring women scientist. Till then, stay tuned and have a fantastic day ahead.